Welcome to ThinkTech Radio's Focus on Asia Tuesday. Today's segment is Asia in Review with your host, international business lawyer David Day.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Asia in Review. I know that many of you are on your way home. There are a number of you that listen to this program on the U.S. mainland, and welcome. And then we also have a surprisingly global audience, many of our listeners in various countries in Asia. So welcome to Asia in Review, and this is a week and we're talking about developments regarding international business, and we're going to be talking about some very interesting construction that's about to take place, along with several changes in Hawaii's foreign trade zone. And to help us do that, we have with us the acting administrator of Hawaii's foreign trade zone number 9, Mr. David Sikkink. And
pleasure to be here, David.
Great to have you again. And ladies and gentlemen, the things that we're going to talk about in this evening's program or this afternoon's program, I think are going to have a profound effect upon business in downtown Honolulu here, and changes that you're going to see along Ala Moana Boulevard, and these changes are going to start in the next few weeks here. And so, but before we get into this, David, what I want to ask you to do is to help those of us who are listening to or watching this program. What is a foreign trade zone? What actually happens in that giant old warehouse across from
Pier 2,
across from Restaurant Row? What is the concept of a foreign trade zone? How does it work?
Well, the idea actually began back in the 1930s. If you remember, during that time, there was a bit of fear because that was after World War I. The Depression was just on the verge of starting. And so there was a huge fear by the U.S. legislature that there were going to be cheap goods coming into the United States. So tariffs were raised. And what happened was that caused the businesses within the United States to say, well, yeah, we can't even get our component parts now. You know, we're losing business. We can't manufacture things. We can't build our products. What can we do to help mitigate some of that? Well, the alternate to the Smoot-Hawley Act, which was the act that raised all those tariffs, was the Foreign Trade Zones Act. That was in 1934, and what happened was they decided to make a law or an effect put into place areas within the United States that would allow companies to utilize or work with foreign component parts or manufacture foreign component parts that then could be put into U.S.-made products and give some sort of duty deferral or preference to those particular items that came in foreign. So what this allowed them to do was bring in, say, foreign parts. Like, let's say I'm an automaker. I can bring in my parts from Mexico or from Italy or from wherever else I get them in the world, be able to manufacture my product and keep those goods in a foreign status. In other words, I don't have to declare them for customs and duties purposes. And then at the time that I then bring them into the foreign component into the U.S. customs area, I can then declare them at that point. So it's a nice duty deferral. And the beauty about that is that, you know, if you're a businessman, which I know you are, $1 today is worth a lot more than it is tomorrow. So I might as well, you know, lengthen out that time where I'm not paying those dollars. And I can put that back into my business. I can buy more parts. I can hire more people. So that helps me grow and stimulate my business as opposed to putting them into something like a customs, you know, duty that's put on my product. The other nice part about it is that if I decide that I'm going to ship these out, let's say in terms of an export, I can do that and keep those items in a foreign component part and never have to pay the duties and tax on them because I never declared them to bring them into the U.S. in the first place. So again, if I'm an exporter, what a beautiful opportunity for me to utilize a program. So what this program actually does is set aside areas within the United States, continental United States, that allows for this particular type of activity to transpire.
And so we have several of these areas located in the state of Hawaii, not just the big warehouse across from Restaurant Row.
Right. In the United States total, there are about 271 foreign trade zones, or active foreign trade zones. We here in Hawaii are foreign trade zone number 9. We got our designation back in 1966 to operate within this capacity. Now, the state of Hawaii was given the grant. So in other words, for us to be able to do this, we have to go to the United States government and say, we'd like to open up foreign trade zones within the state for business purposes or for a valid customs purpose. So then they then look at your site, see whether or not that's conducive to what this could be used for, and then they give you the grant. So we are the 9th granted one in the United States. So we are probably one of the most oldest and most respected foreign trade zones in the United States. So this allows us to be able to operate here in Hawaii, and we as grantee, or the state of Hawaii as grantee, can then grant certain designated areas within the state as foreign trade zones, so they can operate under these foreign trade zone procedures.
So give me an example of another area outside of the actual warehouse area across the restaurant row. What's another example that people would know?
One of the biggest areas is James Campbell Industrial Park. The entire park is considered a foreign trade zone, so that area was designated as a foreign trade zone.
And if I have a business that's not at Campbell Industrial Park, it's not convenient to take it down to your warehouse, is it possible to create another new foreign trade zone somewhere else in the state? Island of Molokai, Kailua, whatever.
There are. In fact, we have several in most of the major islands. Maui, the Maui Industrial Tech Park is a foreign trade zone. Maui Land and Pine is a foreign trade zone. They recently just deactivated because it didn't make sense for them they were using it for the steel that they were using in canning the pineapples. So they've recently deactivated. But we have Nelha on the Big Island, which is a foreign trade zone, and an area by the Hilo Airport, which is also a foreign trade zone.
So your explanation so far, so that our listeners or viewers can appreciate, it has to do with a business that is in the goods end of things. They're making stuff, widgets or whatever. But what about somebody, a business that is not involved in goods, but they're involved in services, say an architect? Is there anything that the foreign trade zone concept can do to help Hawaii businesses that are on the services side?
In our current capacity, the foreign trade zone law, when it was set up, really didn't take that into consideration. They were looking more at hard goods or solid goods. So the program really circles around those hard goods. The whole program, or the whole concept, or the direction now, because as you know, we're moving as a society. We're moving as an international,
away from
global
a goods
community.
society, right? So more service oriented, at least in this state.
Exactly. So how can we then remain, cognizant of that and be able to service those people who are in those industries as well? One of the ideas that we're following is becoming a trade resource center. So not only do we offer the foreign trade zone capacity to what we do, but become a one-stop shop. Our facility at Pier 2 to be a one-stop shop for all of Hawaii to be able to come and do international trade. So we are a trade resource center. So when it comes to those people who are key to doing international trade, such as customs brokers, shipping agents, logistics people, customs, U.S. Customs and Border Protection,
for everybody.
Educational training as well. We are slowly, or hopefully now, fast building that capacity to be that one-stop shop. We've already put our feet into the water. We're well into the current to making this happen, and now we are right at the cusp of our next phase to be able to become that one-stop shop for
And we're going to talk about that. And I think that for our viewers or our listeners, let me see if David, let me try this concept out on you to see if I'll take what you said and say it in a different way and see if that works. If it doesn't, please correct me, okay?
Sure.
But the concept is, if I understand what you're saying, is the foreign trade zone is kind of like the international business version of the Vatican.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Exactly.
So you're within the country of Italy, United States or Hawaii, but it's actually not Hawaii dirt or federal dirt for tax purposes.
For tax and customs purposes.
Tax and customs purposes.
Right.
And so when you move out beyond the chain link fence, just like you would go outside the wall of the Vatican, that's when the customs duties and the taxes hit. But as long as you stay within the Vatican, you can do all kinds of interesting and commercially valuable exercises.
Right, exactly. You can store goods, you can manufacture them, you can assemble them, you can repackage them. There's a whole myriad of different things that you can do in a foreign trade zone and still keep that product in a foreign state and not have to pay the duties and taxes until you either, again, decide to declare them for U.S. consumption or ship them out to a foreign port, at which point you'd never pay the duties and taxes.
And just to put your mind at ease, we will not be accepting any calls from the bishop at this, program. Right, okay. So, I mean, I think that's really a wonderful explanation of what the foreign trade zone is about with a hint in the direction. And when we come back after the break, what we'll do is we'll talk about kind of the next step where we go from here. And those of you watching or listening, stay with us, because this is going to get a lot more interesting, talking about the change of the face of the foot of Bishop Street coming up.
You're listening to Asia in Review Thursday on the ThinkTech radio series here on AM 760 KGU. Now here once again is your host, David Day.
We are back, we're live, and you can join the conversation by calling us at area code 808-296-5467. But before you do that, recognize that we are in the midst of an interesting program here having to do with new construction that is coming up with Hawaii's foreign trade zone. And our special guest is Mr. David Sikkink, the acting administrator of the foreign trade zone number 9 here in Hawaii. Let's go back to our discussion now, David. In the first section of this program, we talked about the Vatican concept of what a foreign trade zone is all about, and how it can assist businesses that are in the manufacturing and the hard goods, and those that are in the soft goods services industry. But let's talk about this exciting new construction coming up. So what's going to happen here in just a few weeks in August? What's the plan?
Well, we already talked about trying to reach out to as many companies or as many people as possible in order to utilize our facilities, our resources. The idea behind it is that we don't want to just be a warehouse or a grantee for foreign trade zone purposes. We want to be that international hub for Hawaii. There's so many resources that we can tap right here in this state. It's just a matter of bringing them together. And in order for us to do this, and this also works for the soft goods as well. You know, you need the customs brokers. You need access to customs individual or shipping people, logistics. You need all of that. So how can we open our services up to accommodate all of that? Well, about 8 years ago, we started on a master plan that would go to, or look to expand our services, or look to expand our facilities to be able to hold those kind of services. And after 8 years of working, we've finally come to fruition where we're looking to build an additional 30,000 square feet of office space to our facility. Right now, we've gone through all of the procurement. As you know, we're a state organization. And one thing I want to make clear, just so people understand who we are and when it comes to the foreign trade zone. Foreign trade zone is a solely special funded operation. So we receive no funds from the general fund of the state of Hawaii. Zero funds. All of our funds for operation come from our resources that we offer at our Pier 2 facility.
So you're very unusual, self-funded.
Self-sustaining, self-funded operations. So that's one of the reasons why we're looking to expand. How can we increase our revenues to be able to accommodate even more people? So, as this type of organization that reaches out to the public, actually touches the public directly as a state facility, how can we do that? Well, the idea was to build an additional space to our facility to be able to do that. So we're looking at 30,000 square feet of office space.
And this is the warehouse, ladies and gentlemen, across from Restaurant Row on Alamoana Boulevard. That big old warehouse.
Big old warehouse that you drive by and don't even know what's behind that wall. That's us.
Okay, and so where are you going to build?
We're going to be on the Mauka end of it. Currently, we have offices, about 40 of them, in the center of that particular building. We have the warehouse on the Mauka end of the facility, and we're going to chew up about a 15,000 square foot footprint.
That's near the current Coast Guard building,
That's
right?
Near the Coast Guard building on the Alamoana end of our facility, and make 30,000 square feet of first and second floor office spaces, about 40 additional offices with a resource conference center.
All right, let's talk about the conference center now. Easy for people to visualize. You got more offices than I can get an office down there if I need it. But the conference center ties together a lot of things, and what's that going to be? What's that going to be like?
That's going to be an open facility for people to utilize when it comes to training for import-export, for evening courses or seminars that companies would like to put on. We're opening it up to the maritime industry, anything that has to do with international trade, and we'll even look beyond that, depending on how it fits in with our program, to be able to offer those facilities to our clientele.
So evening program, the people can come down, and what do they do for parking?
We have parking available on our facility. We have several stalls that are in a gated parking lot. There'll be additional, with this renovation project, we're offering or putting in additional parking spaces that actually circle around the front of that particular part of the building.
Okay, so let's say, let me make this as difficult as possible for you on parking so that people can visualize this. Let's say that we were going to do, or you're going to do a program in the afternoon right now, and you've already got your existing parking is full. And you got a conference center that's going to accommodate how many people in the new conference center? Maybe
we're looking at roughly 150 to 200 additional people.
Okay, so but let's suppose you cram that down, and you got a reception area and some stuff going on in other locations, so that for some reason you need 500 additional parking spaces. 500 cars more than what are parked there right at this moment in the middle of the afternoon on a weekday. Can you accommodate 500 additional cars?
You know, I think that would be very difficult for anybody to accommodate the 500 additional cars. I don't even think the conference or the convention center can do that. But in terms of parking or parking around that area, not only are there additional spots over at Restaurant Row, there's additional parking facilities not too far away at Aloha Tower. I think, you know, that's the beauty of where we're at Pier 2. We have so many resources around us that we can tap. We have a great working relationship with DOT Harbors, and certainly they work to help us accommodate, because our whole idea is to expand the harbor use.
Well, I picked a ridiculous example, 500 cars. but what you're saying is that might even be doable, something that is absurd.
It's very possible. We have the facilities and resources around us to be able to do that. And, you know, again, our goal is to accommodate as many people as possible in that facility to help promote international trade, import and export.
So you're going to have a brand new state-of-the-art conference center being put in there.
Right.
And some kind of auditorium-like seating for 200 people, roughly?
Roughly, somewhere around there.
And fresh new restroom facilities and some kind of food service even?
We're still working. I mean, you know, in terms of being a state agency, we certainly have to partner with certain companies in order to be able to do that. But that is a possibility. We're certainly looking at anything we can do to help support the international trade community.
And this new conference facility is going to have a nice harbor view there.
We're hoping it all works out. You know, you never know until you bust into the building to see exactly what it is. I mean, this is an old structure. It was built in 1956. Right. And we've so far run into a few challenges with it, but at this point we're hoping that all of our wishes come true and the facility is built to the plan.
Well, we want to talk about the connection of this new construction, David, with some of HPU's plans when we come back from the break, because it's very interesting how the two tie together and how the two link right into the center of the business district here on Bishop Street. So stay with us. We'll see you after the break. Something like that.
You're listening to Asia in Review Thursday on the ThinkTech radio series here on AM 760 KGU. Now here once again is your host, David Day.
We're back, we're live, and you can join the conversation by calling us at area code 808-296-5467. And we're talking about new construction that's coming along in a few weeks here at Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone with the acting administrator, Mr. David Sikkink. And
pleasure to be here.
Great, it's great to have you, David, again. And you know, the discussion that we've had so far is fascinating. And let's add one more link in it, and that is that, as you know, and I'll just inform our viewers here that as a part of the Hawaii Pacific University lease or acquisition of the Aloha Tower Marketplace, the state and Hawaii Pacific University agreed to a bond issue for the creation of a pedestrian bridge. Am I correct so far? Yeah. That would cross Ala Moana Boulevard or Nimitz Highway, depending on whatever it is, to the little I think it's the little triangular park there at the end of
Fort Street there.
Fort Street. And so that we'll have a Fort Street will actually go from Beretania all the way down with this pedestrian bridge right into the HPU facilities at Aloha Tower. And what this means effectively, I think, David, is that you and I could be having coffee here on Bishop Street and order just small cups, right? just a little one. And we chit-chatting and stroll across the new pedestrian bridge, and we have to cross the parking lot behind the power plant there, and boom, we are
at the Foreign Trade Zone building.
We're at the new conference center there, and so it's an important linkage with a very dynamic change to the business makeup of downtown Honolulu. This whole enormous construction project that's going to get underway.
Right. You know, like they say in real estate, location, location, location.
That's right.
And we are so blessed to be at the location at Pier 2 where we're at. And, you know, the support that we've got from not only the governor who came down, we had a groundbreaking for our renovation project. Great words of support by him. We had the lieutenant governor there. We had the Senate president and the Speaker of the House. What a wonderful show of support for our particular program on the day that we did that. And we're, like I said, so blessed to be where we're at and to now look to the future of the Foreign Trade Zone and to really try to make things happen.
Well, I know that with the old conference facility, training facility that you have there now, there are all kinds of, in case, ladies and gentlemen, in case you did not know, there are all kinds of educational programs that you are conducting down there already.
Right, right. And the problem with that is that we've just run into a brick wall as to the number of people that we can actually handle. The idea behind that conference center is to get more people involved in international trade. You know, we've heard it time and time again. You've heard it on the commercials. 95% of businesses, potential constituents, people who would buy their product, are outside the borders of the United States. So how is it that we can help to support international trade here in Hawaii to reach those clients, to reach those people for companies here? That's the goal behind that conference center, for training, for seminars, for anything that has to do with international trade or maritime operations, that we can help support this industry.
You know, David, we'll shift slightly, and I kind of want to take the viewers and listeners, if you've driven past the Aloha Tower, past the Hiko power plant, and you come around the curve there, and on your right is the Coast Guard building.
Right.
And then there's the giant old warehouse that's going to be transformed. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to focus the next time you drive on Alamoana Boulevard. I want you to look at the roof of that building. And then David, let's take up this interesting article written in July here called "Darkening Skies Over Hawaii's Solar Industry." And focusing on the roof of that building, what are you thinking about for the future other than just putting a new roof on there?
Well,
that is, by the way,
that's
a large roof, isn't it?
That is a very large roof, probably about 7, at least in our half of the building. We share the facility with the cruise ship terminal.
I understand. But
we have about 7 acres, at least on our end of the building, that we could utilize. Not only that, but we also have that parking lot, the open parking lot, that we could utilize as well for something like photovoltaic or some sort of generation of our own electricity. You know, we want to be a part of the state's plan to reach that goal of self-sufficiency, or at least reduced dependency on foreign oil when it comes to energy production here in the islands. And so we look at that facility and say, what a beautiful facility. We are down on Pier 2. 90% of the day we have sunshine down there.
Right, right.
What would it take to get a photovoltaic system up on that roof?
Well, I mean, that roof would be an enormous billboard for Hawaii's renewable energy industry, because everybody drives by it.
Everybody drives by it. The planes that come and go in Hawaii fly right over the top of it. Daily we have the tourist helicopters fly over the top of our building.
You're telling me that your end of the building is 6 to 7 acres?
It is 7 acres, just that facility, right?
What's the roof square footage?
You know, it's one of the M roofs, or the multiple or W roofs. I'm not sure how they term what the vernacular is for that. But it's a large enough roof and has enough, facade on it to pick up sun pretty much most of the day, depending on the size of that roof. Now, what we like to do, and we're going to be going out to a request for information, RFI, very shortly here, that's going to ask for partners. We're looking for partners who can come on board and actually help us to make this happen. Again, we want to be part of the governor's initiative to be independent when it comes to energy. And the nice part about that is that once we have that on our facility, we can then offer that to our clients within our facility.
I mean, is energy a substantial part of your overhead cost?
It is a huge portion. You know, it just came out in the paper not too long ago. We pay an enormous amount of money every month in terms of our energy bill. We are the highest in the nation. For us at the Foreign Trade Zone, that's one third of our operating costs every single month to operate our facilities at Pier 2. What can we do to reduce that? Well, we're gonna put out requests for information to find companies who want to partner with us. Now, this isn't the normal lease a roof and we get some energy off that, or we try to do a power purchase agreement. We want a partner, somebody that's going to work with us not only today to put the facility, the equipment on our roof and to make sure it's operating as most efficient, but also down the future. You know, if new technologies come online, what can we do to take advantage of them? If there are other things that we can implement or augment that PV system, such as wind power or water power, something we can do to continue to feed and generate energy into the state system.
I mean, this is an enormous photovoltaic power plant that you have envisioned for this facility.
Absolutely, and we are right off downtown, so to feed into the system right there, it makes sense.
It is just absolutely incredible. And then there's quite a bit of land and additional roof that doesn't belong to the Foreign Trade Zone that perhaps you could incorporate to make this even larger than what you're envisioning at the moment.
Absolutely. Like I said, we have a very good working relationship with DOT and DOT harbors. As I said, the other end of our facility, harbors, if you will, holds the cruise ship terminal, the Pier 2 cruise ship terminal. And that facility,
we're going to talk about that in a moment.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. But that particular area too, is also ripe. I mean, what a beautiful roof and a beautiful facility that we could be the showcase for Hawaii's green initiative or our renewable initiative to be right down there at Pier 2.
Because you've got the traffic on Ala Moana.
Absolutely.
The aircraft overhead.
Always.
And the cruise ships coming in
to Pier 2, absolutely.
And the deck of the cruise ship is right above the roof.
Right, and they look down onto this wonderful facility, and what a great, marquee, if you will, for Hawaii's initiative. And it's great that we have the governor's support on something like this.
Boy, this is just an awesome development. So, many of you know photovoltaic potential partners. Please have them get in touch with David Sikkink at the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone. And there's more to developments at the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone, and we'll let you in on those secrets when we come back after the break here. And what we will be talking about when we come back is the shift and dynamics of the harbor of Honolulu. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we're looking at.
People talk over to this camera, this one.
What,
not number one, number two.
One of the things that we'll be looking at when we come back after the break here is some shifts in the cruise traffic here in the harbor and what that means for the Foreign Trade Zone as well as Aloha Tower. So stay with us, and we'll see you after the break. We're back, we're live, and you can join the conversation. You're listening to KGU 760 AM. We're part of the Wall Street Business Network, and we're talking about new construction coming on with Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone with its acting administrator, Mr. David Sikkink. And David, right at the break there, we dropped the hint, or you did, about the cruise ship shift. What's happening there, and why is that?
Well, from my understanding, because HPU has now taken over, or will be in the future here shortly, taking over the Aloha Tower area, they need a place to put the cruise ships. It doesn't seem to make sense for the ships to drop off in essentially a college area. As you know, that area has really struggled over the past several years, and so they had they had to look for ways to repurpose it to make it still viable. And so what they've looked at, and since they've spent the money and upgraded the Pier 2 facility, they believe that should be the #1 terminal. So
now, for our audience, where is the Pier 2 facility?
Okay, the Pier 2 facility is to the Mackay end, or the far end of the Foreign Trade Zone building. So you have Foreign Trade Zone. We share the same facility, the same.
But people driving down Alamoana Boulevard, they can't see that from the street, right?
Not unless you look down Channel Street, then you'll be able to see it.
Okay, okay. Way down the end of Channel Street.
Way down the end of Channel Street.
Okay, and what's there?
We were actually blessed because they have recently redone the traffic pattern for that area. In old days, it used to be a little difficult to get in and out of because of the ship traffic and buses and taxis, and now we have an ingress through Channel Street and an egress through Forest. So it's just a nice big circle that gets around that area, so we're no longer stuck trying to juggle traffic coming and going.
So what's happening is the cruise ship traffic that was formerly at Aloha Tower is going to be moved to
Pier 2.
Pier 2, which is the end of the Foreign Trade Zone warehouse.
Right. The Mackay end of that, right?
Okay.
And they, from what I understand, talking to my pals over at DOT Harbors, that's going to happen in 2014. They see an increase.
That's just next year.
That's coming up very quickly. And they see that happening just because, for them, it's logistics. They need to put that ship at the place where it's going to be most utilized and easiest for traffic to get in and out of. And they did have some challenges at Aloha Tower. This is going to open up that. We talked about the traffic pattern and some of the things they've done to work that. So I really think that this is actually a good thing because it really starts to revitalize that area. As you know, our sister agency, the HCDA, is looking to revitalize all of Kaka'ako. And that area involves part of Kaka'ako. So if you can get more activity down there, more people, more things happening, it just becomes a more vibrant area. And in terms of businesses operating down there and businesses connecting to other companies, what a great place to locate just in that facility area.
Well, so in the years to come, the tourist arrives at Pier 2, not at Aloha Tower. And they look down and they see this giant photovoltaic roof. They disembark from the ship, and there's now a receiving terminal there at Pier 2, correct? And so, but what do they do? I mean, are there any commercial facilities, any stores or anything there yet?
That's the future that we're looking at in terms of phase 3 of our building project. We currently have an area that is just a flat parking lot. And we've been investigating over the past several years, what do we use that parking lot for? Is it good just for parking? Can we make a parking structure and some sort of storefront there?
This is right behind the wall on Alamoana Boulevard, directly across from Aloha Tower.
So we're looking to maybe repurpose that. Is that something that we want to do? We have that in a master plan. Is that something we're going to go through on? That we're looking at now. But as you know, that whole Kaka'ako area is being redeveloped. And that essentially, I think, is going to be the key when it comes to these people getting off the ship and being able to take buses and taxis and cars and mopeds or bicycles into a very vibrant part of the city, Kaka'ako and the main part of downtown Honolulu. They're right there as they get off the ship.
So that what we can foresee in the coming short term, next couple years, is the likelihood of some interesting commercial development that's going to support tourists, both on the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone side of Alamoana Boulevard, and of course they would impact Restaurant Row directly then.
Exactly. Yep. So there's a lot coming in the future, a lot that we are looking at in terms of, as an agency, as the Department of Economic Development, Business Economic Development, Tourism, DBED, to really revitalize that whole area in downtown, to make it a place of high density living, easy traffic, easy commute to get in and out of that area. So there's a lot that's on the board that we're really working to try to revitalize that area of downtown.
Now that cruise ship shift, I did it, I made it, I got it correct.
We're wondering where you're going with that, but I'm glad you got it out and I didn't have to say it.
From Aloha Tower over to Pier 2, do you see that starting already?
There is some. I mean, they really haven't transferred from Pier, I think it's 10 and 11 at that area, to Pier 2 yet, but we have been given the notification that they will be starting to ship that in 2014.
Boy, this is you know, the time that we spent here for this show, David. You've really painted a kind of a fascinating picture of the change from the old warehouse days of the foreign trade zone to kind of a new dynamic center, if you will, of the business community. And it's exciting to see these pieces come into fruition. I mean, how long have you been working on this?
This particular project, I mean, like I said, our facility was built in 1956. The foreign trade zone moved from Pier 39 to Pier 2 back in 1982, and this is all part of that plan that they wanted to redevelop that area to make it really that international hub of business, and that's what we're trying to create. That's the goal, that's the future of the foreign trade zone.
What focus now, as we come down the last minute of this program here, what do you see this business education center, what do you see that being used for?
Strictly what you said, business education. Really, you know, we want to make sure we have a vital international trade community here in Hawaii. You know, we're looking right now to see what we can do to support manufacturing in the state, looking to support international trade in the state, looking to support the maritime industry. You know, and that's what I want to use this facility for. All of those areas, anything we can do in terms of export training, import training, maritime training, seminars, anything in that genre that we can do to support that industry. That's the goal and that's the focus of what I want to use our facility to, that hub of international trade right there at Pier 2.
Boy, this is very, very exciting. And David, you know, on behalf of Asia in Review, I'd like to thank you for taking time to come down and participate in this update, if you will. It's been wonderful to have you here, and I hope that as these various pieces start to fall into place, that we'll be able to get you back for future programs.
Absolutely.
And you know, the idea that the Foreign Trade Zone could host a very important business seminar, for instance, if we look down the road in the future, doing business in Myanmar. And have in our embassy in Yangon or Naypyidaw to have embassy officials on the widescreen broadband hookup right there, and you and I stroll down from the coffee shop here on Bishop Street to see the U.S. Commercial Service orchestrating this. I mean,
and be able to have that conversation with them, you know, across the world, across the pond, if you will. What a great opportunity for the international business community to take advantage of those resources that we're going to be offering.
Well, it's I can hardly wait for you to get this project in place. And when would you expect the construction to be complete there?
We recently awarded our construction contract to Kiewit Building Group. And we're in the process of contracting them now, and if everything goes to plan, which we expect it to be, the dirt starts getting dug right around the 20th of August.
All right. Look for it, ladies and gentlemen. The Foreign Trade Zone, total change, complete makeover. Have a safe drive home. We'll see you next week.